Welcome, welcome. This is the Moonscopes for October 2025. Hopefully, you've already listened to the October 2025 astrology, intuitive astrology insights. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the insights for the full moon and the new moon in October. So, as always with this, you don't have to understand astrology in order to gather something from this conversation. I want you guys to use the conversation, use the translation that I give to help you to just kind of navigate where you want to go with things, what you're doing, um, how you want to orient yourself this month. And because I know stuff is about to get a little cray cray out here, I am posting the moon scopes and the love scopes for free this month. It is usually a deeper insight that comes along with either being a member of the love blog or a member of Patreon. um, but I'm posting it for everybody this month because I feel like there's information that people are going to need. And so I'm presenting it um, in the style of an offering this month. So if you are reading this, if you are hearing this, and you are not a member of Patreon or the Love Blog, please make sure you buy me a coffee or two or three, just as a way of support and respect for the translation and the work that is put into this. So, on the 6th of October, we've got a full moon in Aries. Now, what is happening with that full moon? Number one, a full moon is a time when you first of all, it is the most recognizable moon, right? So all of us know what a full moon looks like. Are you going to know what the new moon looks like? No. But you can always look into the sky, recognize the full moon coming over the course of a day or two, like 48 hours. And so I always encourage people to use that time to just as like a checks and balances for the month. Where can you remove some things? Do you need to do like a closet clean out in your life? Or is it a yield for you to rest? Right? So use the visual of that full moon to remind you to do one of those things or all of those things, right? And so if you do just that much, you're using the moon cycles to get you back acclimated to um, just a natural rhythm for life. That would be great. Now, you want to take it a few steps further. We look at the astrology surrounding that full moon, and we dig a little deeper. And on the surface there, you can just take that translation and run with it. If you want to go even deeper, you can look at your own natal chart and how that specific full moon affects you personally. Or you can look at your natal chart and say, for instance, this full moon is going to be in Aries. You can look at all the Aries alignments in your natal chart and make some moves that way. Figure out exactly what you have to address in those areas of your natal chart that have Aries in them, right? And you're going to look at the new moon very much the same. The new moon this month is going to be in Libra. And so you're going to look at your natal chart and say, where is their Libra energy? How can I apply this conversation to all of those areas in my life, in my natal chart that are in Libra? That would also encompass your Venus. Or you can just say, hey, this translation resonates. I'm going to use that for my journaling. I'm going to use that as my point of reference for everything that I'm about to do over the course of the next 30 days. So let's get started. Your full moon is in Aries, but we have some alignments here that are very important. It is conjunct the Neptune in Aries, sextile the Uranus in Gemini, sextile Pluto in Aquarius, and it's conjunct Saturn in Pisces, right? And so what does that mean? That Saturn energy is emotional strength. It's calm under pressure. And it's very rooted. It's like you being rooted in emotional wisdom. That Uranus in Gemini, we need to seek a balance of emotional spontaneity. A balance of our emotional, and then we have to look at like our independence, right? Because sometimes we think being spontaneous is freedom. And what I've noticed is a lot of times people, I'd meet these guys and they're like, "Oh, I gotta be spontaneous." No, you just don't like to schedule anything and be held accountable, and you just want to show up when you feel like it. That's not spontaneous. That's not what that is. I just want to show up when I feel like it. I don't want to schedule anything, because if I schedule something with you and something else pops up, I may not be able to go over there. So spontaneity is not that. And that's how a lot of people operate. We have to understand that, like, there's a freedom and spontaneity that says, oh, like, that moves me. I want to get up and move in that. But there can be a bit of planned spontaneity as well, where you're just like, I'm going to be open to leap in this space. But that leap is not just something reckless. There's some thought that's put with it as well. That Uranus and Gemini too, we have to also look at concepts regarding detachment. Um, Neptune, that Neptune alignment, we're looking at deeply, like, this space of deeply intuitive mysticism, right? Which may feel ungrounding for us because so many of us have been rooted in religious doctrine that it's hard to get to the mystic side of things. And that Pluto alignment is a lot of emotional resilience, right? And so that full moon in Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's the first sign of the zodiac, and excuse me, it is resilience. It is new beginning. It is trying new things. Fire energy is motivation, and Aries is a warrior, right? It's very active energy, and so we have to start to look at, in this full moon, our emotional strength. What drives us, right? What is our internal motivation? We have to look at this whole Neptune Aries, Neptune, I'm sorry, this whole Pisces Aries energy, right? Because Neptune rules Pisces. Saturn is going back and forth between Pisces and Aries. Neptune is going back and forth between Pisces and Aries. So a lot of our doctrine that we've grown up with, that has set the standard for things, there is this space where finally people are starting to study and be very honest about where a lot of the doctrine that we have followed was instituted, like the root of where a lot of that has come from. And so we have to, when we're going back and forth between these Pisces and Aries energies with Saturn and Neptune, a lot of what we know or have come to know gets unraveled and comes undone. So we have to, there's a space where people may be either really ready for that freedom, or they may be still grasping at what they knew and not wanting to let go of that. So that's where we get that detachment versus like disconnection and disassociation. A lot of people came undone from religious doctrine and they ran to something else, right? But then the things that they ran to weren't really authentic to them. They didn't study, they didn't respect. There was a lot of appropriation. And so when the thing that they ran to didn't feed them or serve them the way that they wanted, they ran back to the clutches of religious doctrine and then shunned everything that they ran to. That's a level of religious psychosis. And that is fueling a lot of what we're dealing with today. So that full moon in Aries is like, what is anchoring you? What, like, really check your belief systems, right? Check your belief systems. And here's the things. Here's the things. Um, all the things. We all are products of the belief system of our family of origin, right? So whoever raised you helped instill your belief system. At some point, you start to think for yourself, right? Because this is normal human development. At some point, you start to think for yourself. And there should be a point that you come to where you say, hmm, this actually does resonate with me. This actually does work for me. Now, depending on your upbringing and a lot of those things, sometimes people don't feel like they're allowed to have that personal conversation. And so they continue with whatever they were taught. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there has to be a conscious decision that I'm not just doing this because my parents taught me or the people that raised me taught me. I'm doing this because it actually resonates with me. And then there's this conscious decision to follow whatever that belief system is. Some people get to a point where they're just like, oh, these are the things that, my family of origin raised. This is the way my family of origin raised me, and it doesn't agree with my soul. And they make decisions that way. So this full moon in Aries is just like, what do you believe? How can you be more independent of what everyone else is doing? We've been products and subjects to groupthink, and it's really changed our perception and the way that we live a lot of things. So this full moon in Aries is just really just reminding you, like, it's okay to release some things. Um, and check in on yourself and your mental. um Check in and make sure you have balance in certain things and you're not going too hard in specific areas. and leaving other areas to just be dormant. Now, the new moon in Libra is on the 21st. A new moon is a time to it's a renewal, really. Um the new moon is a time to like just kind of reset um and refresh whatever we're aligning ourselves with. Excuse me. So, this new moon in Libra has it is square several elements. And when it's square, it's like a soft opposition, right? Like it's like this space might be a little challenging. It's not necessarily in harmony with that space. So it's square Jupiter in Cancer, square the ascendant in Aries, and square Pluto in Aquarius. So what are we talking about here? Pluto in Aquarius is that deeper emotional growth that's supposed to happen, right? Because Pluto is the depths of everything, but it moves very slow. Aquarius can be very surface, um, like surface doctrine, surface rules, because it's air energy that is could be quite superficial, but talks about the way that we connect with others, right? So I always think of Aquarian energy as like the liaison. So new moon in Libra, square that Pluto and Aquarius. This is a triggering for a lot of inner healing. But that those feelings may feel like intense overwhelm. Um, because we've been on the surface for too long, right? So it may feel a little incongruent to understand that you got to go a little deeper. Um, Jupiter in Cancer, this is big feelings. Um, and so that new moon in Libra, Libra is air energy that is driven by Venus. It likes harmony. It likes things to be balanced. It likes things to be copacetic and it's like everybody move through and get along as best as possible. But Jupiter in Cancer is like this firestorm of big emotions. And so that new moon in Libra time is going to see us with a lot of fluctuating moods and us really it's more overwhelmed, right? We're exploring how big our feelings can actually get, should be. Um, but that can lead to a lot of seeking of external comforts, um, which when we are in our big feelings, we should be seeking things that comfort us internally because people fail, right? People will fail us, and looking for a lot of external comfort right now is going to set us up for failure because the world's going to hell in a handbasket. Like the whole entire world, like everything is going crazy. Um, this is that new moon in Libra is going to be a time for aligning the self and a lot of self discovery. Um, I feel like when people do this self discovery, it's going to be frightening and people are going to lash out. Watch out for this month, just October is a time of a lot of depth and going beneath the surface and entering like this shadow, darker realm simply because it's time to prepare to almost hibernate in a way. Um, and I feel like a lot of people are going to do self discovery, not really care for what they see or discover, and they will be energetic leeches to other people. So watch for energetic leeches, right? Because people can't deal with what they're seeing in the mirror. Watch out for that. So, you with your um, full moon in Aries, you're going to look for where Aries is in your chart. You're going to look for where Mars is in your chart, and that's where you're going to apply that full moon in Aries message. And then the new moon in Libra, you're going to look for where Libra is in your chart, and you're going to look for where Venus is in your chart, and you're going to apply that message. Just do some journaling, some self-reflection, figure out if there's any changes you need to make, and see what resonates, because a lot of times you may have already been dealing with these things, and then it's like, oh, yep, I've seen that pop off, bit by bit, in my space. I'm gonna go ahead and address this, deal with this. Also, it's very much like, yeah, I've been seeing that pop up. That means it's aligned. Let me make my moves properly. So, if you want to go a little bit more in detail with your moon scopes, then definitely message me. We can talk about how we can do a report on how the full moon and the new moon affects you specifically according to your natal chart, or if it's a conversation that you want to have a little deeper because some of these concepts resonate with you, definitely set up an oracle reading, so we can go a little bit more in depth specifically to your needs. If this information resonated with you, buy me a coffee or two or three, and definitely make sure that you share within your personal circles and spaces. And you guys are going to find me less on Facebook and more on the Love blog or on Patreon.